Hello, and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. You know, when I talk to you about music, I'll often show you a piece of music and say you have to check the key signature, you have to check the time signature, and I'll say something like, well, this music is in the key of G and it has one sharp. Or this music is in the key of D and it has two sharps. And you may wonder, how did it get that way? Why is one sharp and two sharps? How did it get to be in one sharp or two sharps? Or what happens that it gets to be in the key that it is? So what I'm going to show you first, I'm going to show you the keys that instruments can play and the keys that the recorders can play. And it gets to be all over the place, but let me just review this with you with this chart. The recorder, the ones that we play, are in the key of C. Those are the descant or the soprano recorders. That means they have no sharps and no flats, and they're in the key of C. And this is the middle C. It doesn't matter what C you're talking about, but there's no sharps and no flats. The key of G has one sharp. The key of D has two sharps. The key of F has one flat. The key of B flat has two flats, B flat and E flat. The key of E flat has three flats. The key of A flat has four flats. Now the key of A, which is different than the key of A flat, has three sharps. The key of E has four sharps. The key of B has five sharps. The key of F sharp has got six sharps. Now you have to remember that an octave is only 8 notes. When you get to the point, and this is just kind of an aside, I'm not going to show you how it works, or at least right now, but if you get something in the key of F sharp or B or a lot of sharps or a lot of flats, you can actually turn sharps into flats because of the fact that the notes are sharp in one direction and flat in another direction. You actually can get called enharmonic notes. You actually, if you have a lot of sharps, can turn that into a flatted key, or you could have a lot of flats turned into a sharp key. It's just something that you need to remember, but nothing that we're going to deal with in here because it would be much too difficult. These simple instruments, though, what can we play? We can play the key of C, we can play the key of G, we can play the key of D, we can play the key of F, and I have often played things in the key of B flat, which is two flats. I've often done that, but this here and this here, as recorders, we leave it alone. Now, there are other instruments, of course, that can play it. You've got to remember that recorders don't have a lot of side keys, and you do the sharps and flats by the way that you finger and how you cover the holes and which holes are covered. Other instruments have side keys and little keys here and there that they can press for sharps and flats, but C is nothing, no sharps, no flats. G is one sharp. Now, it's not the G that's sharped, but it is one sharp, and that sharp is going to be F. The key of D is two sharps, but it's not the D that's sharp. It's the C and the G that's sharp. The key of F has one flat. It's a B flat, but the key of F, the F down here is not flatted. It's in that key, but this is called the root note. If a key is in, say, C, G, A, or whatever it is, whatever it's in, that note is considered to be the root note of that scale. And we have E flat, and the E is flatted here, A flat, and the A is flatted here. And the key of A there is three sharps, but A is not one of them that's sharp. So there is a method here that's going on, and I want to show you that. But let me show you some other things first that relate to keys. Octaves, as you may know, have just they have 8 notes. So I'm going to take the recorder and I'll play. Okay, this is a scale, it's an octave. And the lower note of the octave is the same as the higher note, except it's twice as fast. This note here is a D. The high D So what's the difference? The vibrations are going twice as fast on the upper part and not as fast on the lower part. So, or you can say the notes on the lower note is going twice the length. The vibrations are twice the length as they are on the top note. So therefore, an octave is 8 notes, and the top note and the bottom note are just that many notes apart, and they are just 8 notes higher. They're the same note, because we don't go through the whole alphabet. Now let me show you, I'm going to just for a moment show you a chart that I have here that I use fairly frequently. And it's a good chart. It will help you to understand what's going on here when I get to explain where the keys come from. Now here you have the keyboard. It's practically a full keyboard. A keyboard has 88 keys. This one, because of space requirements, I only had 86, but it's enough for me to know. I mean, the keys that are missing, there's a couple of missing keys down there, but we're not dealing with that. The range of the woodwind instruments is basically from this C, which is a middle C, up to this C, which is a high C. And it's basically 2 octaves. This here is the middle C, and there it is right here on the smaller version. And then I go up to the another C, the mid-range C, which is right here. I call it the mid-range C because it's just 1 octave from the middle C. And then, of course, here is your high C right there. This is the high C. The recorders can do all of that. Most of the woodwinds can do all of that. There are some woodwinds that can do even more. For example, the flutes can go up to this C, which is called C above high C. And this is 8 VA. It is so high that music isn't even written for it. And the flutes won't go above here. But you can actually, pianos can do it. I suspect that the harpsichords and so forth can do it, but it's specially written. They don't even write music for this. But if they need to play this, they put a notation, 8 VA. That 8 VA means they're playing an octave higher than this that they do write music for. They know how to finger it so they can get it up there, but only the piano can play it. The flutes can't play it. The other woodwinds can't play it. The saxophone can go from to the B flat. That's a little bit lower than this range. The clarinets can get down in this range here. But most of the woodwind instruments are limited from here to here, most of them. So that would be the middle C right there, to the mid-range C, which I've got right here, to the high C, which is right here. The recorders can do all of that. The saxophones can do down here. The clarinets can do in that range. And the flutes can actually go up to here. You see, the recorders would have to stop here, but the flutes could go up to here. And then there's another octave beyond that, which I haven't put in, that only the pianos and keyboard instruments can do. I'm not sure about the violins. They might be able to do it too, but I don't know enough about stringed instruments to say for sure. So we are in a range where this C to this C, this C to this C corresponds from this C to this C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then starting there again, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, when you get to G, it turns to A. C, D, E, F, G. There's no H, I, J, K. You know, it goes right back to A. And the reason it goes back to A is that we can't hear any higher than that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it goes back to A again because we are limited in the amount of hearing that we've got. Other animals can hear more notes than we can. They can hear different sounds higher than we can, but we're limited in terms of what our ears can pick up. So we can pick up in this range here, up to about here. We can hear this, but in terms of the notes being written, they're basically repeats of the lower notes. So you have here C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, going back to A again. So we're limited. We can hear some octaves of the lower notes, but there's some notes that we just can't hear. So we're limited in terms of our hearing. So it's not a case of the music. It's not a case of animals can't hear it either. It's a case of we are limited. So we have this range, and all of our sharps and our flats are in this range. Now, the black keys are usually mostly sharps and flats. Not always, but mostly. And the white keys are basic regular notes, not flats, not sharps. They're regular notes. Although sometimes it may be a sharp or they may be a flat. But for the general rule, black notes, sharps and flats, and white notes, regular notes that are not sharps and flats. And you have to, that would be an easy thing for you to remember. And if you get a note, you have a series of two black notes, a series of two black notes, a series of two black notes, all the way up and down the keyboard. Well, the note to the left of that is always going to be a C. So here we have two black notes. This note to the left of those two is going to be a C. This note is a C as well. It's an octave of that C. At two notes, two black notes, the note to the left is a C. And that's the way it runs all the way up and down the keyboard. There's never any change in that. And now, if you go from the C right here, and you go two notes two steps below, you get to the A. And it doesn't matter what octave you're dealing with, it's always going to be an A. So it would be C, B, A. Whoops, let me start it. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, or C, D, E, F, G, and after the G, it goes back to A. Or if you want to do the alphabet with it, so you start with the A, which is two steps down from that C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you go back to the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you go back to the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and back to the A. Oh, those are all repeats, but at a higher level, just like when I played that high G that I played. It's the same note, but it's at a higher level. The vibrations are going twice as fast as the lower level. And so you can remember that because it's like it just repeats itself. Here we have C, C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and the same thing going up to C, and the same thing going up to C, you know, and then it repeats, it goes down, you can go down to the lower level, which would be the bass clef, and the same thing happens. So these are basic things that you need to know. Now there is a way, let me show you another set of scales here. And I have a couple of charts I would like to show you before I show you what actually happens when you get your different keys. Instruments, you know, are made in different keys. The saxophone is in the key of E flat. The clarinets are in the key of B flat. The flutes are in the key of C. Most of the recorders are in the key of C. Some of the recorders are in the key of F. So you can play the same notes, but it's going to sound different. It's going to sound the same in a way, but it's going to sound different because it's in a different key. Now, what I've done in the last 2 or 3 segments, I've played music using the same fingerings, using the same notes, and fingered it in different instruments, and it comes out lower or higher because it's in a different key, because the instruments are built to be in a different key. These little descant recorders and the flutes are good to play because you never have to transpose anything. If you're in an orchestra and you're playing certain music, well, if you're in an instrument that's in the key of B flat, you may have to change what you play so it will match what everybody else is playing if they're playing in a different key. And every instrument goes through this, except for instruments in the key of C, which don't have to be transposed at all, because they're always just exactly like the music is, because they're in the key of C with no sharps and flats. So let me show you this chart here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is where it appears on the staff. Here's your C, which is your middle C. Your D, which is just one step up. It's on that space right below the first line. The E is right on that first line. The F is on the first space. G is on the second line. A is the next one up. It's on the second space. B is on the third line, and C is on the third space. So you have notes both on the lines and the spaces, C, D, E, F, G. But when you get to the G, the next one is going to be an A, because that's the way that we hear it. And we can hear it in different octaves, but that's what we hear. And if you're to follow the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back to A again, A, B, C. Now these are the two octaves, and when I showed you that chart to begin with, I showed you that segment of the music, a segment of a keyboard that's in that range. So what are the fingerings? What I've done here is I put down the fingerings of the notes, most of the notes. I didn't include the sharps and the flats. That would have been way too complicated just for a chart like this. But it shows you the key, it shows you the note, it shows you where it is on a keyboard, it shows you how to finger it. Left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. And so it goes all the way up the scale. And when you get to the C, this is a high C, the fingerings are a little different. The thumb holes, some of them are just half hold, and so you can get the higher note, because if you don't half hold it, you won't get an octave with some of them. And a lot of times when we start to teach, I use this, B, A, G, F, E, D. This is the B right here. It's the top note. The A, you add a note. The G, you add a note. The F, you add a note, and sometimes you add two, depending upon the kind of recorder you have. E, you add another note. D, you add another note. And if I'd taken it to the C, which I didn't, then you would add that note would be covered too. So if you want to look at the recorder a little bit, it's B, A, G, F, E, D. And on that F, if you have a Baroque recorder, which means there's a little tiny B in the back of the instrument, or right above or right below the thumb hole, if it has a little tiny B, that's a Baroque. And when you play that F, you just put this fourth finger down, and you skip this middle finger and put the fourth finger down. It makes it a little bit more in tune. Then to get the E below that, you just pick up the fourth finger, add that middle finger, and you've got the E. If for some reason you don't want to use this extra little finger for the F, you can play an F like that, but it may be a little tiny bit sharper. It's not exactly in pitch. Close, but not exactly. And then the C above that, and the lower C down here. Now it follows according to that progression. So let me show you this. I've got enough time for this, I guess. I don't have as much time as I thought I had. I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to put up another chart right here. This is the one I want. The key of C which is the first key that I've been dealing with here. No sharps, no flats. Now I only did 1 octave. This can go up another octave, but I didn't put it up. Just for 1 octave, C, D, E, F, G, and then there's your A, B, C, and then you're taking it back down. And what I teach when I first start teaching is that B, A, G, F, E, D. Here it is right here. Now the key of G has 1 sharp. That sharp is the F sharp, and that's going to be right here. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then it goes to the G, and I brought it back down again with another F sharp over here. They're on the same line. They're both F, so they have to be sharp. And F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. The key of D has 2 sharps in it, and the key of, this is the F sharp and the C sharp. And you start on that D, it's in the key of D, so the lowest note is a D, and that's called the root note. Up here, the lowest note is a G, and that's considered to be the root note. The G is not sharp, but it's in the key of G, and I'm going to show you. I may not do it this time. I may have to wait till next session to do that, but I'll show you how it gets that way. Now, so you have your 2 sharps here, and then for the flats, the key of F has a B flat in it. It starts with F, so that's the root note right there, and the B flat is right here. But the F itself, even though it's in the key of F, the F itself is not flatted. Like here, the D here is not flatted. It's not sharp. It's got F sharp and C sharp, but it's in the key of D, and there's no sharp. The D is not sharp. In the key of G, the G is not sharp. The F is sharped instead. So the lowest note of the key, the lowest note of the scale is the root note, but it's not necessarily the note that's going to have a sharp on it or going to have a flat on it. There's a reason for that. And here there were no sharps or flats anyway. So I think probably I'll start next time by showing you how it gets to be as it is. How does it get to be a C sharp or a D sharp? How can you tell which key you're in? There is kind of a simple way to do that, and so I'm going to start showing you that next time. So I'll close it here because I don't have time to really get into it and explain it to you without having to stop because of time considerations. So we'll do that next time. How does a D sharp become 2 sharps? How does the G become 1 sharp? How does the B flat become 1 flat? What happens to the music that you start off? And the key, and the thing that's most important is to remember that middle C that I've shown you before, that comes between the treble clef and the bass clef. You start from that note to figure the rest of it out. So we'll be doing that next time. Please join me then.